making sure it knows that we're recording. This software is really actually pretty good. But all right, I'll play my shtick here. So, okay, welcome to a little segment I'm calling Direct in Direction. My name is Kyle LaPointe. I'm a co-host on the Fun Dynasty podcast called Dynasty Self-Help. We help you analyze your fantasy football teams, your game, and yourself in an effort to provide you a more rich and fun hobby experience. Today, I'm going to examine 10 different key aspects of your fantasy football team and follow that up with a question. Please keep in mind that I'm going to be very direct, to the point, and brutally honest, and the questions are not going to be necessarily that easy to answer. Is that okay?
That's sweet, mate.
All right. So before we get into the meat of this potato, I'd like to ask you a few things about you. What's your name in real life?
Zach.
All right, Zach.
Most people call me Big Zacko.
All right, Big Zacko. So in Shark Tank 2, we all have nicknames, and we're all based off of No Guts, No Glory, Daredevils. And what is your chosen name and why?
The Robbie Madisons. Robbie Madison's a Australian BMX motocross stuntman daredevil. So
nice. Well, that fits pretty good.
He's been around a long time here in Australia, and I think he might actually be an Olympic gold medalist as well in like BMX or something like that.
Oh, that's pretty good. Good choice, apropos. All right. So do you do any podcasts, any writing, anything like that? I know some of the other folks did that in this league.
Well, I've been part of a podcast here in Australia called Bats and Balls podcast. Me and a couple of mates put it together, and I just I started as a guest host, and then I became the apprentice. So I became a regular on the show. Basically, the premise of the show is a bunch of mates hanging around, drinking beer, talking sport. So we talk mostly Australian sports, which is rugby league, AFL. But then, in the summer months, we talk NFL and the like, and that's all. My cup of tea. I do the NFL and horse racing and things like that. But life has sort of been a bit busy of the last year or so. So it's probably been about a year since I've been on that podcast. But I'm a regular special guest, and we have a bit of fun.
Well, that's fantastic. So everybody check that one out. So we talked about it earlier, but whereabouts you live in this world?
So I live on the outskirts of Sydney in a little suburb called Bringelly. We've got 5 acres here. Couple of you'll see. That's Daisy there behind me, and my trusty blue dog.
Awesome.
So I'm about 50 k's, or you guys call them miles, about 30 miles outside of the city centre.
Nice. All right. So I'm a beer guy. I brew beer. I like beer. What is your favorite style of beer?
I'm a big fan of ales.
All right.
So I drink a lot. My standard drink is Cooper's Pale Ale.
Uh-huh.
If I'm not drinking my mate Pie's homebrew, but so mostly ales.
Nice.
I don't mind an IPA. I don't mind a red ale, but
drinking right now. This is a extra special bitter by Funky Picnic in downtown Fort Worth. So with everything shut down, we were able to go buy beer from these breweries, but you can't necessarily go inside anymore. So we're trying to support them by buying stuff out the door. But yeah, Funky Picnic made an awesome ESB. So extra special bitter, perfect ale.
Yeah, that sounds nice. They changed the rules here in Australia, changed the laws here in Australia, so people could actually get takeaway of any variety of drink, which was amazing. So all things going on, they go, no, everyone can still get their grog.
Yep, that's good. All right, so final intro question. What is your favorite thing about fantasy hockey?
Fantasy hockey? Fantasy hockey I've never played. Actually, I might have played once. I used to play hockey on the PlayStation when I was younger, but I don't really have a lot of time to follow hockey anymore.
Fantasy hockey. I used
to follow the Edmonton Oilers. But
nice. Okay. So fantasy hockey is one of those, it's not as bad as fantasy baseball, but it takes every day looking. It's a lot tougher than fantasy football. Fantasy football, you can set it once a week if you really want, kind of walk away. Some of these other ones, basketball, baseball, hockey, they're pretty brutal.
I've tried. I was in a baseball league. Only a friend of mine, some of the guys we've met on the podcast from the US and Canada were they were more into the baseball, and I joined one. And I just auto drafted, and I ended up coming second.
Nice.
I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah, I had the same experience, and then I really wanted to win so I could claim victory and never play it again. But I couldn't claim victory. But I still never played it again.
Yeah.
Halfway successful. All right, so now it's time for the hard-hitting analysis and drama-laden questions. Are you ready?
Yeah, mate. Yeah.
Okay, question number 1. Geno Atkins has been playing in the NFL since before my 9-year-old daughter was born. His skill mixed with advanced age should make him a prime candidate for roster cut. What is the name of the youngest defensive player on your roster?
What is the name of the youngest defensive player on my roster? It'd be Adoree Jackson.
Perfect. Nice. Okay, so I looked over your defensive ends, and I can honestly say I see nothing bad about any of those players, namely because there are none. If you were a Canadian rock band that decided to become an NFL player, what position would you play?
If I was a Canadian rock band that decided to become an NFL player, what position would I play? Being Canadian, they're a bit thick and they're slow, but they're very polite. So they'd probably play kicker.
Oh,
if I was a Canadian rock band, I'd be a kicker.
Let's see. I don't know why this thing just decided it was going to swap microphones here in mid-interview, but we'll go ahead and go with that. But yeah, so the answer is Nickelback. They have a band in Canada called Nickelback, so I think that they should play the position of Nickelback. So, right. Number 3, Matt Ryan is the only quarterback on your roster that is currently employed by an NFL team. His nickname is Matty Ice because his blood is ice cold under pressure. David Bowie sang the song Under Pressure, released in 1981. Who ripped off the main chord progression for a future hit song in 1989?
No idea.
That is Vanilla Ice. Ice Ice Baby.
Ice Baby.
Yeah, pretty brutal, man. It's killer that he did that, but good song in its own right. So, all right, question number 4. Tight ends in this format may become rare and tough to acquire via trade. You have invested heavily in Will Disley, but recently his team showed life in Hollister and also signed a veteran tight end. What is the name of the veteran tight end recently signed in Pittsburgh?
The veteran tight end in Pittsburgh was Eric Ebron.
All right, nice. Okay, so you seem to have a strategy for ignoring the need for 11 starters on defense. This could be tough given the requirement to start 22 players. If you were given a chance to reset at the start of the auction, what would your favorite Billy Joel song be?
My favorite Billy Joel song is I actually listened to a lot of his stuff when I was younger. Probably Uptown Girl.
That's a good one. Yeah, that works. I'll accept that. All right, you spent over 50% of your startup budget on a combination of 6 different running backs from 6 different NFL teams. NFL teams rarely run triple options, but have recently begun to embrace the use of run-pass option or RPO. How many of the running backs on your team have a first or last name that starts with the letter J?
1.
The answer is 4. You have
4
running backs.
I've got Josh Jacobs. Who else do I have?
You got Jacobs.
I can't remember.
You've got Aaron Jones. You've got Ronald Jones.
Aaron Jones. That's right.
Yep.
And Ronald Jones. And who else do I have?
James White would be the fourth
James
one.
White.
Yes.
Yes. Very good.
All right. So over 55% of your players are running backs. Some of them are actually good. You must have a strategy for selecting running backs to overpay for. So please tell me, what city is famous for the running of the bulls?
That'd be Pamplona.
Nice, in Spain, right? Pamplona. Jarvis Landry seemed to pop up this past year as the offense in Cleveland floundered and sputtered. It is possible that his role decreases with more added intermediate and short pass weapons. Now, Odell Beckham Jr. is on the trade block rumor. Orange and brown look terrible together, but orange and vodka make what drink?
Orange and vodka make the screwdriver, I think they call it here.
Perfect. All right. You spent $302.22 on Aaron Jones. He shows some amazing flashes and during the 2019 season especially, and may be a force again in Green Bay in 2020. Much like the running back committee in Green Bay, sheep are herd animals. What is the term for the lead sheep in the flock?
Trump.
That is bellwether.
Oh, right.
Like a bell cow. It's a bellwether. So,
Oh, right.
yeah. So I think that's a new phrase I want to go ahead and coin. If you've got a running back by committee, then you don't really have a bell cow. You have a bellwether. You have the lead running back in the committee. So, all right. You have $1 of startup money remaining from your $2,000 startup budget. The American dollar is currently worth $1.62 Australian. I'm in America, so my Shark Tank money is worth more. Would you accept a trade of $1.50 of my Shark Bucks for $1.50 of your Shark Bucks?
I don't have $1.50 Shark Bucks to spend.
That is the correct answer. Yes, you could not accept that trade because you don't have $1.50 to spend. All right. Well, thank you for your time, and I appreciate you answering these questions very well. You did really well. I'm going to go back and look at this. You got one right. You got two, three. Missed that one. You got Billy Joel right. Eric Ebron right. Dory Jackson. I think that's 6 questions you got right. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's not too bad. Most of the football ones, most of the ones about my team I got wrong.
Right. So
I should have studied harder on what my team actually lineup was.
Well, sometimes I ask those questions about your team. Sometimes I don't. It's direction and direction. We'll see how they all work out time to time. So you're the second one I've got done. It's a lot of fun though, writing these questions and goofing off a little bit and getting to meet some of the people face to face with Zoom. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
But I like that you've got all those animals. We've got chickens and turkeys and guineas and goats and sheep and all that fun stuff.
It makes for a good day when you get home from work. But I always say to everybody when I get home from work, I knock off work at 4, get home at 4:30, but you don't sit down till 8.
Right.
By the time you get all the chores done.
There's a lot to it. 5 acres takes a lot to manage.
Yeah. I've got to go out and do some fencing shortly.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's the thing that don't teach you about being on a farm or any sort of animal enclosures is that fencing is about half your job. It's like brewing. They don't teach you until after you start brewing that cleaning and sanitizing is half your job. You better get used to doing dishes because that's half of what you do.
Oh, it's 95% of the quality of the beer, isn't it, in the sanitizing?
Yep. Yeah.
That's what my mate Pies always tells me.
You can ruin a really good beer by being careless after you've already got the yeast in there or after it's past the chilling. So anything you do after that, man, you can really ruin it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's cellarmanship is pretty big. But if you do a good job with the beer and you make a good beer, it's not that hard. You just have to be kind of steady at it. Make sure you're sanitizing and washing your hands and some of the things that we're all having to learn right now. So how's the COVID stuff doing for you guys? I mean, you got any rules in place there now?
Oh, we got the same sort of rules that are all over the world.
Okay.
The new catchphrase, social distancing, and they've shut everything down, and they've pretty much got security guards at all the grocery stores now handing out things 1 at a time and 2 at a time, and you can only get 1 of that and 2 of that, and all the sports are shut down. So
yeah,
I coach 2 soccer teams, and we're off now till they reckon mid-April, but chances are it'll probably be mid-May or later.
Yeah, it sounds more reasonable.
So it just depends on how long before it starts, till they decide it goes away, I suppose.
Yeah, that's the crazy part, but are you guys experiencing any major issues? I know we've got cases popping up here in Dallas-Fort Worth. I've actually got a cousin-in-law right now that's been, proof positive of COVID-19, which, and he's in really good shape, and he's been knocked down on both knees, man. It's pretty rough.
Yeah, it's a pretty heavy hit when you take it.
Yeah.
But, he'll bounce up and be all right from it. But,
yeah.
You just got to protect the old people and the sick, I suppose.
That's exactly right.
It's sort of a bit spread around here. We don't have. I think we got about 3,000 cases or something so far in Australia, but it'll. I don't know. I try not to pay too much attention to it. I'm too busy concentrating on work and the home life.
That's what you got to do. What do you do for a job?
Actually, I work for an American company.
Okay.
So a company called EJ.
Okay.
They do. They're from East Jordan in Michigan there. They do ductile iron products. So a lot
Okay.
of your stormwater and sewer grates and sewer covers and things like that. You'll probably see a lot of them around Fort Worth if you look at the ground.
Right. Right. Yeah. My
It's
family's. I was born in Detroit, Michigan. I was moved down to Texas when I was 2, so I don't really have a lot of memories up there, but I got a lot of family up there.
oh yeah. Yeah, so East Jordan's right up on the top of the lake or something. I don't know much about it, but outside of what I looked up when I took the job.
Right.
But yeah, I travel around the city, trying to sell the product of the construction sites
Nice.
and the plumbers and electricians and the like.
Well, the good thing
That
about
pays the bills.
good thing about construction, they're calling that one of the things that they need to keep going, essential functions around here. I'm sure they're probably doing the same thing for you guys.
Yeah, it's all still going on. It's very hard to shut them down when
Right.
they get all that money sort of invested in it. And I think the problem with construction is if they stop, the companies go broke, and when they go broke, there's a lot of people out of work and a lot of holes in the ground that nothing's happening with.
Right. Well, and it's bad enough that we got all of the restaurants and airline industry and all the hotels. The hotels are really been hit, man. They're bad.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we've had travel agencies shut down here.
Yeah.
And they're talking about they've closed their doors. They're finished. They've gone broke. And I suppose that's all. Well, that's what happens. It's part of economics, isn't it?
Right.
It's an unfortunate part of it, but it is there. It's just how quickly we can recover from it, I suppose.
That's exactly right. We never seen anything like it. And we're really a global economy, unlike we used to be. I mean, even the Great Depression, I mean, you can say it was a global economy back then. It wasn't anywhere near like it is now. So having everybody shutting down and not being able to import and export like they used to, it's going to be pretty rough.
Oh no, it's I mean, we don't produce anything here in Australia anymore, really. Like most of our stuff comes from overseas. So in particular, I mean, most of the world stuff comes from China now, China or India,
Right.
but it's very hard when that stuff's shut down.
Certainly. But
so it will, mate. It'll all bounce back. Give it 6 months.
yeah, we'll see it. Like you said, it may be April or May before we all get to the next phase of things. But once it's ready to go, it'll kind of be like coming out of winter where everybody's just ready for spring and we're rocking and rolling. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that time. In the meantime, I'm in construction as well, so we're just trying to keep everything going as best we can and not get people sick and hopefully their families stay healthy and get to keep eating. That's a big thing.
Well, the thing about it is it's a disease that travels a certain way. Like, so if you do the right thing by yourself and you keep yourself, you keep your hygiene up and you just sort of avoid people, that close contact, you should be safe.
Right.
That's just how it is. I think people seem to think it's some sort of boogie monster that jumps from place to place to place. It's just not how it works.
Well, and if you don't get it, if you're not eating somebody's Kleenex, then you're not going to get it nearly as bad. If you're washing your hands and you're staying your distance and everything, even if you get it a little bit, it won't affect you nearly as bad.
No, that's right. That's exactly it. You just be careful in the environments that you're going to be in if you have to go to the shops or things like that, and be careful around people. Be careful touching things, and don't transmit it to yourself if you can.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So what else you got planned for? You're gonna go hot and heavy in the rookie draft? You're gonna try to make some trades before? You got any big plans, or are you just gonna see how it all rolls out and go from there?
No, mate, I don't make big plans. I know there's a lot of value. There's a lot of players that are going to score points next year that nobody knows about yet,
Right.
including me. So I'll have a throw at the stumps when the waiver wire opens up and see if I can pick up a couple of players. I know there's some guys out there with 40, 50, 60 guys on their roster. I don't think I'll do that this year. I think if I get to, are you still there?
Oh, I'm still here. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it's
listening.
all right because my phone's running a bit low, so I'm not sure. I'll probably go with, if I can get the 30, 35 people by the time the season kicks off, that'll keep me happy. I'm looking to not have too many wide receivers. It's a bit different than everyone else, but I think I've got 3 core ones there that I can bank on every week to get me a decent scoring.
Yeah, you got a good wide receiver core.
Yeah, and then the way I look at it is, running back wise, at the moment I've got 7 starters.
Yeah, you do.
So 7 guys are going to start. That gives me a pretty good 5 or 6 man rotation that I can put in place. And I just need to find myself some defense. Maybe a couple more linebackers would be nice, but they're a dime a dozen. You can pick them up pretty cheap as time goes by.
It's going to be fun to see it all play out. Yeah, I'm one of the opposite. I've got tons of players, and I'm going to pick up more. I'm aiming for as many as I can possibly get. That's my goal. I'll shake them out later. I'm just looking for value at this point.
Yeah, well, the thing is, you can only buy them once,
right?
And I've spent all my money on that core. I was a bit surprised. Like, to be honest, I was a bit surprised. Like, when it comes to going through, because it's this blind bid setup where you just throw what you think your value is out.
Ooh, it's hard.
And you got to see what sticks. And I think the last lot I hit, the last group of players, which I think was David Montgomery and a couple others all in one day, I ended up getting 3 running backs on the same day, and I paid overs on all 3. I should have probably dropped the value on them a little bit and kept myself another $10 or $20 just to, if I had that extra $10 or $20, it would have been all I needed to secure some players through this part of the auction. But I don't know. I look at it like there's a lot of players going through this part of the auction that you have them. If you don't, you don't. It doesn't. To me, it doesn't really matter. It's all about, there's going to be some.
Uh-oh. Might have lost you now. Clicking on this, making sure it's good, but I do think I lost you. Got you froze up. Send you a message. Looks like you froze up. Righty. Well, I'm going to go ahead and stop this recording and cancel it because we got shut off there. But, yep, there you go. All right, we'll talk to you later, man. Zach, that was a lot of fun.